I'm just going to come out and say it right now. The Italian plumber may have come out on top during the 16-bit era against the Blue Hedgehog, but when it comes to their motion pictures, I think Sonic's got this round. Well, to begin there, guys, Brian here, the Three Topics Gamer, here to share with you another one of my awesome movie reviews. This time, I'll be reviewing the first of hopefully many to come Sonic the Hedgehog live-action film. Now, before I begin, I would just like to say that if you haven't already, or if you're new to the channel, please do not forget to give this video a thumbs up and press that subscribe button to help grow the channel, because every subscription does help us grow. And just to ease anyone's concerns or worries about this film, if you had any doubts that this movie was going to be horrible, you can put those fears to rest, because I'm telling you right now from the very beginning, Sonic the Hedgehog is a good movie. Not a great film, but it is absolutely a good video game based movie. There, you can calm down, because it is very, very clear that from the first trailer, after the massive negative response on the design of Sonic, which was abysmal, and they needed to completely redesign his character, that they listened to us, and they were very much focused on trying to give us the best Sonic film that they could give us, and they have certainly succeeded. Now, some say, well, just because you change the look of the character doesn't necessarily save the script. And I can tell you right now, the script is just fine. It works with the type of story that they're trying to tell. Now, if I'm getting too many spoilers just from working from what we've seen in the trailers, what happened is that Sonic at a young age kind of comes to Earth, and he's been living here for the past 10 years. Now, at some point, he causes a bit of a shockwave, which causes a massive blackout, and then the government decides to hire Dr. Robotnik to find out what Sonic is and capture him. And in order for Sonic to get home or to leave Earth, he needs to team up with James Madison's character, who is a sheriff in a small town, and together they need to go to a certain location in order to recover something that can hopefully help Sonic get to safety. And that's really all I need to say in terms of the plot, because the plot is very, very straightforward, and it works. There's a good amount of pacing, there's a good amount of character development for both James Madison's character and Sonic, and I have to admit there's even a good amount of heart, which I was not expecting. Now, there's a lot of great things about this film, but a lot of things that people were saying from even going back to the very first trailer was about Jim Carrey, and how Jim Carrey was going to have to carry this film. And I can tell you right now, he absolutely steals the show. He is at his A game in this film. This is classic 90s Jim Carrey. I enjoyed it all the way back when I was 5 years old, and I enjoy it now that it is 29. You can tell Jim Carrey is having a blast with this character. And I can even go so far as to say that he actually adds a little bit of a dimension to Dr. Robotnik that even I am not quite familiar with from the games, because he kind of inserts a bit of creepiness and even intimidation, which I never felt that for the original version of the character. So I'm kind of glad that they incorporated this into this version of the character, because I think that's going to go a long way in terms of how the character is going to progress, hopefully, if he is back for a follow-up film. Another thing that I can say is also really good in this film are the action scenes. Now, sadly, there's not that much action, which I was a little bit disappointed at. But I think that the action set pieces are a good length, and I think that they're very, very cool. They're very, very visual, and there's a good amount of creativity in terms of the locations. Anyone who was a 90s fan of Sonic back in the day, you're absolutely going to love this film. There's tons of Easter eggs, there's tons of callback, and there's even some explanation on how certain things that you're familiar with in the game are incorporated into the real world, and I really, really enjoyed that. Another thing that I also was surprised about was the human characters. Now, when you have movies like this that have live action actors having to act with a CGI, character, sometimes it can be a bit of a balancing act. Sometimes they want to focus too much on the human characters and not focus on the main character, who is in fact Sonic. But I can tell you right now that there's a good balance. I think that the human characters do not overshadow Sonic. In fact, they actually help him in his own way. I love their interactions. It was actually handled pretty good. Now, this movie is not perfect, and if I could point out the flaws about this film, they're really just three main flaws that I had with this film that I'd like to really explain without going into spoilers. The first main issue that I have with this film is the product placement. Now, it's not nearly as bad as, say, something like in Power Rangers with the whole Krispy Kreme thing, or in some of the Michael Bay Transformers films. It's not as bad as that, but it is present, and it can be a little bit too much on the nose. Like, you could have taken that thing out, and the movie wouldn't have changed. Another thing that I thought was a major flaw is involving needing to keep Sonic a secret. Now, I'm sure you can expect that if people were to see a 2-foot running hedgehog just out in the open, you think that that would be a bit of a big deal. But let's just say that something like that happens 3 times in this film, and 2 of the 3 times it just didn't work for me. They might have gotten away with it a little bit the first time they did it because of the setting, but the second time they do it, it just absolutely did not work. However, the biggest problem that I have with this film is something that they do at the beginning. There is a plot point at the beginning of the film involving terrorism, and this is completely dropped by the end. Like, this is kind of a big deal. When you incorporated this into your film at that point in time, this is a big deal, so you need a major explanation to get out of it, and they just completely drop it by the end, and I felt kind of insulted because, like, there was a way that you could have maybe gotten around it or kind of fixed that error, but they didn't do that way, and I felt just kind of cheated. But those flaws are very, very minimal, and they don't really hurt the film too much. And I don't think most people that are going to go see this film are going to have as much of an issue with those things as I did. Because overall, I think you're going to focus on just Sonic, his journey, his progression, the action, and all the entertainment. And this is absolutely an entertaining film. It's not for everybody. This is a family film, and it's certainly a love letter to the fans of Sonic who have stuck with the franchise since the 90s. So if I had to give Sonic the Hedgehog a rating, I'm going to give it a B+. Absolutely check this out. Do not let anyone else affect your viewpoint on whether or not you want to see this film. I'm telling you, if you're going to listen to my opinion, it is absolutely a solid film, and you should absolutely go see it so it makes a lot of money so we can get a sequel, because there is a kind of cameo by a certain character at the very, very end in the credits, and I want to see that character more interacting with Sonic, if it hasn't been spoiled already. So that's my review for Sonic. If you have any quick thoughts, be sure to share them with me and everyone else in the comments down below. And like always, thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I will see you next time.